And this is where we start the next part, because this is what we call the Barbossa Saga.
Oh, I've heard of this character. Oh boy. What
questions?
before we start the next part, may I use the bathroom?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be right back.
Just taking notes. Excuse me for a second.
I told you didn't have to.
I know. I want to. It's just so much information. It's so cool. Yes. Darn, this gives me so many memories.
Ha. Yeah, you reached right up until the end of the John Locke saga.
Yeah.
Well, now you'll know what might have happened next.
Well, now I can learn it all. Who was a part of it? But well, wait, is this gonna be in the video? Are you gonna edit this?
I don't know, it depends. It would be funny if I did never notice. Take note of the fact that you were part of the party that went through part 1.
That's painful to me. I remember fighting that person getting my ass whooped, and it made me sad.
Yeah, well, at least you didn't die to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, the person that did die got shot by a known party member.
Yes, I remember very clearly. The crossbow dwarf done. That poor thief.
He shouldn't have picked so many pockets. Truth be told, I hoped he was going to die at some point. Because him constantly picking pockets was annoying.
He was gonna do it to John Locke, I remember that.
He did do it to John Locke, but then he also did it to a party member, and that was his fatal mistake.
Oh, so he did do it to John Locke. John Locke was trying to kill him at first, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
He did it to John Locke, and then he did it to a party member to get something to kill John Locke, because the party member didn't trust him, because he kept picking pockets. So in the end, he kind of caused his own death.
I remember being in this group for I don't know how long. We were up to a point where we fought a dragon of sorts, like a dragon man.
Well,
no, later.
He was a were-dragon, but I didn't bring that up because it didn't seem pertinent.
So did that already happen then?
Hmm?
I remember killing something like that.
Yeah. John Locke was the were-dragon. You killed him.
No. John Locke's alive right now, isn't he?
Yes. Because this is the canon story. In your version of the story, you killed him.
Oh. Wait, what?
Yeah. In an alternate dimension, John Locke got killed by the party.
Oh, so you restarted this whole thing?
Yes.
That was going on.
Yes.
Okay.
And then in another version, where I did this with another group, they managed to beat John, but weren't able to kill him. So I just booked it.
I don't know how to feel about this. You decided to make a whole entire new thing without us and not inform us. Okay, fine.
Well, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Despite how many times I offered to finish this campaign, other than you, did we?
No.
There you go. I guess a fun fact, I didn't mention it because it didn't seem pertinent. John Locke turned himself into a were-dragon.
Turned himself into it?
Yeah. His way of creating this army was using a magical staff that he found that turned people into were-creatures. And he just turned himself into a were-dragon. And he also had a were-whale.
Oh, yeah, I remember mentioning of the were-whale somehow.
Oh, crap. I completely forgot. It's a very important plot point. I guess it's a good thing that we stopped for a second. Part of the reason why the party survived was because, once again, Lunaris intervened.
I find it very interesting that you have a campaign where gods can freely intervene in the affairs of mortals because while I'm not very experienced with 5th edition D&D, I do have a lot of experience with tabletop games in general, and one of my original tabletop games is a Pathfinder campaign where 3 of our characters ended up becoming deities themselves. And when I was speaking to my dungeon master about it, he specifically said that deities are not allowed to interfere in the affairs of mortals because if they do that, then other deities will take offense and will start a universe-wide melee that will destroy all of creation.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
Because think about it. Because you have one god that's like, okay, here, I'm gonna help one of my servants do a thing, and then one of the other people will be like, one of the other gods will be like, hey, you're intruding upon the territory of this temple, and then I'm gonna take offense to that and destroy one of your people, and then another god's like, hey, fuck that, I'm not gonna, and then it just starts a whole argument that ends up having like basically a bunch of deities pointing guns at each other, Mexican standoff style.
the reason why in Aria's Choice gods don't typically intervene, well, when do people typically intervene in the lives of ants, for example?
Exactly.
Yeah, people don't tend to care. Lunaris did because she knew about Pentagon shenanigans. It was like, yo, we can't let that happen. Though she never mentioned how she knew. But she couldn't always stick around because, unfortunately, Solaris is a dick. So she was only able to stay away from him for very short periods of time. So she was only really able to help out the party every once in a while.
I just find the idea of gods helping mortals out because other gods happen to be assholes, and I find that to be very fascinating. Just in the context of the game other games that I play.
So, on to the Barbossa Saga. And this one was a doozy. So, while going along, they decided the fastest and safest way to travel to Solario is via boat. So they managed to get a boat, and they decided to go across. And when they did, they got attacked by a bunch of sea eldritch creatures, and they quickly had to go to an island nearby. And that is when they discovered Barbossa, or more specifically, his followers. His followers were taking care of the islands. Well, taking care, more like putting everybody on the islands under a tyrannical sort of thing. Essentially, he was acting like his under Barbossa's guise. His servants were making life terrible, but also they were making sure that no boats got in or out of Aria. They were essentially acting like a water barricade. Ship barricade? Barricade, either way. So nobody was able to go in or out. Realizing that this might be an issue, the party were able to stop Barbossa's follower, and in the process they killed him. And that was when Barbossa himself showed up, and he was terrifying. You kind of heard this description already, Matt, but he was a large hulking man in black cloak wearing a porcelain mask. And whenever he showed up, really intimidating music would play, and everybody lost their shit because he was just that menacing.
Cough, puppeteer, cough, cough, cough.
Ha. But he explained that he was from another dimension. Yeah, I know, lots of dimensions. But he got stuck here. The only way that he could get back home and complete a very important mission would be if he followed Pentagon's bidding. He didn't really care about resetting this universe because this universe is separate from his. This universe could reset all it wants. It won't affect his. But if he gets to go home and go home in time to save as many people as he could, he was willing to do what he felt was necessary. It was a necessary evil in his eyes.
I just want to go home.
It's basically not just I want to go home, it's I want to go home and stop everybody in my home dimension from dying.
Wait, what was true?
Essentially somebody found a really, really dangerous weapon and was going to try and use it.
Huh. Okay.
So like a dimension nuke.
Not really a dimension nuke. It was more of a... It was called the Suncracker. Because it was a giant spaceship that if you fire at a sun, it will engulf the solar system.
Okay, so it forces supernovas. Great.
Yes. Frightening thing. There was a version of it in Aria's choice. Well, in Aria. And he didn't know where it was. He had a feeling that this was the one that was in his dimension, but he felt that if he didn't find it and destroy it, his home was screwed. So he needed
assessment.
So he needed to do Pentagon's bidding so that he could, 1, find this weapon, and 2, get it somewhere where nobody in his home or in this place could ever use it, and and kill who knows how many people. But that was the crux of what he did. His followers went to the islands and basically ruled over everything, kept everything in line, sowed chaos, and stopped Aria people from reaching Aria. Oh, another thing. Barbossa lived in a gigantic floating castle.
Ah, cool.
Dope.
Yeah, he was just that cool, I guess. But either way, the party were traveling along. They were freeing the islands surrounding Aria because they felt if they took out the people that were under Barbossa, they'd be able to reach Barbossa and maybe pacify him or defeat him or whatever. But in the process of doing this, they managed to take out many of Barbossa's followers. But one island in particular was very difficult for them to deal with. This island was an semi-active volcano. But the issue was there was a follower in there and they needed to get rid of him. So they managed to make their way inside, and what they found was very interesting. At this point, dragons were still almost extinct. You would very rarely see a dragon. The only dragon that most people had ever seen was the dragon that was loyal to Dovemir. This island was the former home of the dragons that they went to. The reason I say former is because it was a bit of a thriving city back in the day. But when some of them kind of killed Diablos' family, Diablos went to their home island and she dropped a fireball on it. Not just any fireball. A fireball the size of a city. Think what Frieza did to Namek.
Yeah.
Yeah. How?
How?
Well, the answer is simple. She had the power of a piece of a god in her, and she was fucking pissed.
Okay, yeah, that'll do it.
So she did that, and dragons still live there, but underground.
Yep.
And...
Because they're worried about a crazy psycho bitch that's going to kill all of them if they leave.
Basically. And the issue was, the follower had stolen their eggs.
Oh.
Yeah.
The what? The what
Eggs.
stole their eggs?
The follower.
The follow. Oh, okay.
And they had to get the eggs back, because if they didn't, who knows when the dragons will be able to, hatch again or anything. But while they were trying to get the eggs back, they ran into another one of the priests. And this one was a bit different compared to the others. This priest... Oh yeah, I forgot to say. Barbossa was actually the third priest, right? The first was John Locke. The second is Aiken. The third is Barbossa. Yeah. They met the seventh priest, Zen. While the first priest is meant to cause chaos in Lunaria, the second priest is meant to cause chaos in Solaria, the third priest is meant to keep people out of Aria itself, Zen is the problem solver. Before he met Pentagon, he was he was dead. But before that, he was an assassin. And a really, really, really good one at that. He was scarily accurate. He could do shit that... think Bullseye from Marvel. He was just that ridiculous, right? He was around because if there was anyone that stepped in the way of the plan, he was supposed to go to them and kill them. So he showed up and started doing that to the party. The thing is, they managed to beat him by knocking him into the volcano.
Hey, nice.
Yep. Killed the follower, and they defeated Zen in the process.
Nice.
Best thing, though, they saved the eggs. In fact, if I remember correctly, I think some of the eggs hatched.
Hey, babies.
The dragons that hatched imprinted onto the party. So they each got their own baby dragon.
What the... Yo, that's so nice.
I actually remember a brief mentioning of this.
Indeed. Thorgrim met two of those dragons.
Yep.
Aww.
Well...
Wait, are they older now?
Oh, they're much older. In fact, I think they're married. I think they have kids. Either way, they saved the dragons, stopped the follower, and killed the seventh priest. And so they continued on their way, until the seventh priest showed up on their ship.
Oh.
And he killed one of their friends.
Okay.
And then he left.
That escalated quickly.
Yes, at this point they had a chef with them. Zen, who, despite, being tossed into lava, he kind of just came back, killed the chef, and left.
The food.
But either way,
How else are they going to make bacon on the ship?
who knows? They continued on, and eventually they managed to get rid of all the followers, which kind of forced Barbossa's hand. So when they reached the last island, he dropped his castle on it.
Wow.
With them still on the island. They did manage to get away, but they ended up hiding on... Oh my goodness. I am sorry, I completely missed another important side thing. Plot thing. While they were going around, they did end up... A couple of them did end up on Barbossa's castle. They got teleported due to accidentally messing with some eldritch nonsense that they really shouldn't have. The issue is, out of all of the party that teleported, it was only two of them and Aiken. So they were stuck on Barbossa's castle for a while, exploring, and in the process they actually found Dovemir. Though she was a bit asleep, if I remember correctly. The party were then... oh yes, while there they ended up coming across a couple of other people that they did not recognize. though they did call themselves priests, they didn't introduce themselves because they were too busy trying to kill the party. Well, the part of the party that was there. So in order to give the party a chance to escape, Aiken actually stayed behind. For some strange reason, she kinda sacrificed herself for the party, and as a result, the party managed to escape, and they had Queen Dovemir with them.
Okay. Yeah, that's a win.
Nonetheless, they did end up back on the castle afterwards. But in the process, they were able to reach Barbossa, and I think at this point they had convinced him before that he was doing the wrong thing, but Pentagon had taken direct control of him. So they had to knock him unconscious and then sever Barbossa's link to Pentagon. But at that point, they managed to pacify him. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely remember how they managed to get onto the castle now, right? So remember, I said Barbossa decided to drop his castle on the last island. At this point, John Locke was with them. The only reason why the party managed to get out of there was because John Locke was using his time stop abilities. The issue is, since he was no longer connected to Pentagon, similar to magic, his time stop abilities were now utilizing his own body's energy in order to use. In order to get every single person off that island, he kind of had to clock his body into overdrive, and he ended up forcing his body to shut down as a result. So he saved everyone, but died instead.
That's depressing.
Yeah. On the bright side, he did manage to get his redemption that he wanted, but he passed away in the process. If I remember correctly, this was actually a part that actually made many people in the party start crying.
I mean, yeah.
No.
That's depressing.
Don't worry, he killed other people with his lycanthrope stuff before. He must have been evil still.
Well, if you want to look at it that way.
I mean, I don't know, redemption arc is shit like that.
Either way, they did bury him and everything, and I think it was after that that they decided, fuck this, we are taking the fight to him, and that's when they got into the island, the castle.
Okay.
But either way, at the end of it, they managed to sever Barbossa's connection to Pentagon. I think the way how they pacified him was that they found the weapon. They just found out where it was, and they told him where it was. And some of them had the ability to banish or unbanish a sort of spell that sends you back to your home dimension. So...
Oh, like, the... Not plane shift. Banishment.
Yes.
Banishment, yeah.
So they freed him. They told him where the weapon was, so that if he was ever worried, he'd go and get it. And then they sent him back home. And that was Barbossa.
I will banish you with some mint.
The unfortunate thing was, while they managed to do so, while Barbossa was fine, they lost Aiken and they lost John Locke. So they felt pretty... That saga was a bit of a low part for them. Oh yeah. Another thing, which, well, I don't know if it's pertinent or not. It was a side story. Though they were dealing with a Solarian villain at the time, who went by the name of, Forez. He was, Solarian, but he was interesting in that he and his soldiers used magic. A special kind of ice magic, really. They were just off the coast of Solaria, in an island of their own. And they were basically part of Solaria's naval force. They were a pretty big antagonist to the party. I think they almost killed one of their people. But the important thing about Forez is that he had a dragon with him as well. And the dragon's name was Magala. The interesting thing about this dragon, it was able to produce dark ether naturally.
We're going back this far.
And this dragon was kind of like the arch enemy to the party. It killed one of their people. I think it killed him twice because he came back only to die to Magala again. Yeah. And then Magala fought Barbossa when Forez was dealing. When Barbossa kind of sent Forez's ship onto an island because Forez was also fighting Barbossa. Barbossa just said, "Oh, fuck you," and literally dropped Forez's ship on an island as if to get rid of them. In the process, Barbossa teamed up with the party, and they fucked Magala up, man. Like, Magala was practically dead by the time the party and he were done with them. They were that sick of his shit. I think it was around this time that they managed to. This was part of the time that they managed to convince Barbossa, "Hey, knock your shit off."
Stop that.
Basically. But yeah, Magala was a repeat. Forez and Magala were a repeated bad guy to the party. Though, like Barbossa, they did manage to pacify Forez. It was kind of their running thing that they managed to convince the bad guys, "Hey, stop it," and it worked.
Stop it. Get some help.
Except with Magala. Magala decided to kill.
Yeah, they tried it with Magala, and Magala killed one of them. So they were like, yeah, no.
Yo, the hate towards the dragons.
Oh, Magala did hate them back because, a humanoid kind of reduced his kind to near extinction.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, your kind want to do that to me, huh? And so his hatred for them was very palpable. The only reason he didn't hate Forez was because Forez hated Lunarians as much as Magala did. And it was a Lunarian that kind of did that to his people. But either way, Barbossa and Forez were pacified, and Magala was dead. If I remember correctly, they killed him by shooting a spaceship at him. Not
what?
like, yeah. They found a spaceship, and Magala was so fucking tough that they used the gun on the spaceship to kill him.
This is the journey of the Starship Enterprise. Die, bitch!
Basically. But either way, that was the Saga of Barbossa. Any questions?
Was this spaceship the Starcracker?
No.
Suncracker?
No. The Suncracker would have probably done way too much damage. No, it was just like a small spaceship. After their ship got destroyed, it was how they got around. I think it was also how they got into the castle.
What? They just use this? They just now have a space? Oh, yo, I like this. All right. Cool.
Yeah, they found it on one of the islands after Barbossa destroyed their ship.
So is space travel going to be like a prevalent part of this adventure, or
No.
are they just there?
They used it to fly around, and I think at the end it was in the castle, and when they got Barbossa out of there, the castle kind of got imploded on itself. So the spaceship was gone. The only technological thing from Barbossa's universe that is still around is the Starcracker. And the only person that knew where it was one person in the party, Obitus. So...
Oh, the crazy baby.
He wasn't a crazy baby anymore. He was a normal adult.
What?
He was a reincarnation of that Obitus.
As normal as Obitus has ever been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure no reincarnation of Obitus has been normal.
So, I think at this point, Obitus hadn't revealed much about his backstory, but yeah, he is a reincarnation of the Obitus from back then, which is partially why he's such a powerful magic person.
And he was in the party.
He was in the party, yes.
When oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you were talking first.
All right, I just don't understand how he's not as strong as like Pentagon. How is he? What happened to him?
Well,
it was more of a rhetorical question.
It's more, Pentagon's story is explained a little bit more afterwards, but the reason why would be because Pentagon's not reincarnated.
Okay, now I'm lost. All right, I'll
So-
ask later.
So when you are reincarnated into another form, do the powers that you had originally start to degrade over time, over like each reincarnation you have?
You don't know. Nobody knows. This is only the second reincarnation, as far as we're aware. It could be that the Devon reincarnated from something else that happened in the previous universe, but that was never looked back upon.
Try telling him that. I'm sure he'd love to hear it.
Well, only 2 people remember the previous universe, and in the previous universe, nobody mentioned the previous universe, so...
Well, Lunaris didn't remember, but Lunaris is still extremely powerful, along with Solaris, yes.
Every single god is a reincarnation of a deva. Only some humanoids, mortals, are reincarnation of deva. Others were just created here.
It's like Fight Club. You never mention the previous universe.
Well, it's more like nobody knows about the previous universe. Would you know if you're reincarnated?
Aries.
Yes, I am reincarnated 76 times.
Sure.
That sounds like a little too small of a number.
Either
I
way,
don't know. Do you know?
I mean, no, I don't know.
on to the next saga. And this is, ironically, not ironically, but interestingly, the Aiken saga. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to like, subscribe, and maybe watch some more. Be seeing ya.